Welcome back. We're joined again this week by Jennine Hamilton, the Chief Technology Officer at Legacy Fund Limited. We explore the impact of technology on society, touching on the digital divide, automation's impact on employment, and tech's role in addressing social issues. So welcome back, Jennine. So last week we had an exciting conversation about digital currency, and it's amazing to hear that Belize is not staying too far behind. But I was thinking about the digital divide, a term that may interest our viewers. Can you go into depth about that term?
Sure. Hello again, Destiny. So the digital divide is really just the gap between those who have access to technology and those who do not. However, access is one thing. So there's two parts to the digital divide. There's the access divide and there's the usage divide. So if you do have access to technology such as internet at home or in a shared space, and you have access to a computer or some type of device, the other part of it is, if you do have the access, then do you have the necessary skills to actually use the technology? So that's where the usage disparity comes in as well. Anyone who may have limited access to both, whether it's the access divide or the usage divide, they would not be able to participate in our digital economy, meaning they would not be able to access information using technology, and also like healthcare, banking, and so on.
So in your professional opinion, what do you think is the underlying reason for the digital divide, and how can we narrow that divide or narrow that gap in Belize?
I think that there's three main ones. I think in infrastructural issues, we still have where there are areas that do not have access to internet or high-speed internet. As well, you have digital literacy, which is really just a skill set to be able to use technology. And then there's social economic issues. Many of our households are still really running on like $150, $200 per week, which is like $800 per month. And if our cheapest internet package is $49, then how many of them can really afford that on a monthly basis?
Okay, thank you for your opinion. I can see how those can affect the digital divide. I do have to ask about employment automation, though. Can you describe what that is to our viewers and tell us whether or not you're in favor for that or oppose?
Sure. So employment automation is really just the use of technology, which is artificial intelligence, AI. I'm sure you've been hearing about that a lot.
Yes, definitely.
So it's AI, softwares, robotics to do the work that a human being would normally do. I am for it. It streamlines processes. It reduces costs, and it also helps a company to operate more efficiently. So I am for it.
I, for one, definitely utilize AI as an entrepreneur, but how can we get people in our communities ready for the changes caused by artificial intelligence or automation?
Well, I think some of the implications that we will see, and I don't know how far along it's going to be, because it really depends on how how our workforce, I should say, adapts to new technology. But I think some implications are going to be job displacement, change in work patterns, such as if you used to work full-time, you may only be needed for a part-time period, which would lead to some, salary inequalities. So those are some of the implications that I see, and I think how we can help to mitigate some of those is to offer training. We need to focus on our workforce, really upskilling them so that they would be able to participate in the new type of employment opportunities that would be out there.
Thank you, Jennine. So given your enthusiasm on technology, do you believe that it can be used to combat some societal issues, perhaps poverty, hunger?
Yeah, definitely. So in many countries, we have seen great progress with technologies that they're using for social issues. For instance, in healthcare, you have technologies where you can get on a call with a doctor and he can completely check you out. So this is good for like rural areas where there might not be clinics available or it's too far to get to the nearest clinic and so on. There's also in education where you have e-learning platforms where students are able to access education and also different types of learning tools that they might not have within their community as well. So they're not left out just because maybe it's too far to travel or the type of learning tools or education is not within their community. And like we spoke about on our last show, there's the digital wallets, which really brings to financial inclusion. There's the offering of like insurance policies, pension funds, investment opportunities that would help people to really take themselves out of poverty. And so yes, in a nutshell, yes.
Okay, so you mentioned something about, you mentioned people being left out, correct? And how can we ensure that people aren't getting left out and that technology is not only being fair, but inclusive to all Belizeans across the board?
Well, I think for that, it takes collaboration. Collaboration with individuals, the community at large, and also the policymakers. We need good policies in place that would ensure that it's not being biased and it's harnessing an environment for innovation and entrepreneurship, because that is what we need, meaning that the jobs of tomorrow, that is what we will be faced with. And so from now, we need to start training our workforce, but also collaborating so we would know what we are actually preparing for.
I completely agree with you. And though Belize is small, we are definitely mighty, so it is important that we continue to keep up when it comes to technology.
Yeah.
Well, Jennine, thank you so much for being here today and for chatting with us. We look forward to having another conversation with Jennine Hamilton next week. But for now, we must take a break, but join Abby with the Business of Sports when we return. Stay tuned.